Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of epic fantasy romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Ah, Today is, say it with me, people, say it loud, say it's Friday. Woo-hoo. March 14th, halfway through March. I don't know about you, but time is flying for me. We are very stormy and blustery today. Um, I don't know if I change this so you could see out the window. If you're on video, you could see the rain chain and the ristras um, knocking in the wind and all the snow outside. Very blizzardy, blustery. Tut tut. It looks like snow. Apparently, this is a great big storm. So my mom said they got rain in Tucson last night, and it's supposedly like sweeping across the country. My friend Kelly in Toronto has plane tickets to fly to Chicago tomorrow and is worried that their flights are going to get canceled, which they probably will. It's just, yeah, welcome to spring. um, okay, so, I'm still standing. I'm doing all right. I want to show you all. I should have taken off the stopper. Look at my beautiful new earrings. I will describe them for those of you not on video. But the delightful Vivian Shaw, who has an amazing jewelry Etsy store, which I will link to, um, made these. I'm trying to get a good focus. Aren't those beautiful? It's Venetian glass. So for those of you not on video, it's a let's see. I need one of the problems is I am out of words. My brain is like total mush. So it is a shape that I can't think of the name of. It's kind of like a teardrop, only it's pinched on both ends, and it's white, and it's got spiraling black lines. And at the bottom are two more beads, one that's white with black, kind of like a spider webbing in it, and the bottom one is darker, like a dark gray with black lines in it. And they're really beautiful. They catch the light. Um, I saw Vivian the other day because she is married to Arkady Martin, who many of you probably have read Arkady's books. They live here in Santa Fe. And Arkady had a launch. Oh, I should grab her book. That would be nice of me. Okay, hang on. Okay, so Arkady just came out with this book called Rose House. It's kind of rose slash house, but isn't that a neat cover? It's really pretty. It was originally published by Subterranean Press, and then Tor took it back and published it in this lovely little hardbound edition. It's not a long book. It's a novella, probably 115 words, but I got a copy of it. It's interesting because Tor is doing a lot of this. Tor is for their authors that are doing very well because Ursula Vernon, who writes as T. Kingfisher, mentioned this also, that Tor wants, like some of her backlist, wanted to buy like some of her self-published books. Um, like with Arkady, they're picking up these books that were published with other presses, small presses. So it's interesting. It's like they're wanting to capture the catalog of their authors that are doing great, which is interesting. Did I mention interesting? It's cool. It's different, and so I wonder how much of this is Devi Pillai driving things. I think Devi is super smart. Um, One thing about self-publishing authors is that it can be tempting when a big publisher like Tor offers to buy your self-published books. The thing is you will never make as much money on the ebooks with Tor as you do on your own, especially if they're already selling decently. But it can be super, super worth it to get their ability to do this beautiful print version and distribute. They're still all over indies on distribution. So, yeah, Ursula was saying, no, she's not selling them that self-published series, and I think that's the smart choice. So anyway, uh, Arkady has a day job that's incredibly busy right now. So she just had like a soft launch, hung out at a bar here downtown, one of the ones I liked, and invited some of us to come join her. So we went and had some drinks, toasted her, got a copy of the book, and I chatted with Vivian, who was, I don't remember why we were looking at her Etsy store, but I'm going to link to it. I like her card. It's a Bleeding Heart Studio at Etsy. So it's bleedingheartstudio.etsy.com. And I just love her jewelry designs. I got that bracelet a while back. I think I told you all about it. So anyway, I spotted these earrings on there, and I was like, I must have these earrings. So now they are mine. I'm such an easy target for her. Yeah. So check out, I mean, fair warning, if you go check it out, you will probably want to buy some, but she does such a lovely job. Okay, so those were things I wanted to talk about. Okay, bye. No, I'm kidding. All right, so where am I at with all the things? I am going to put a photo on the show notes. I am down to the last 3 days of the tip-in sheets and the last 3 piles. So I should make it, which is good because UPS is scheduled to come pick them up on Monday. I have my labels. So I'm going to be concentrating on those. Books. All right, so I technically, I feel like there needs to be a word. Technically, with an asterisk. Do we have a gesture for that? Technically, with a footnote. Mostly finished the revision of A Rose in the Mirror on Wednesday. Now, before you cheer, I mean, yes, it's good. Yeah, thank you. But before we go too much further, I ended up, I revised all the way up through the Act 3 climax, which is at 95,000 words. And then I cut the last few chapters. I started to look at, what is it, the last 4 chapters. I started to look at the last 4 chapters and realized that it would be easier to rewrite them than revise them. And this is an instinct thing, an intuition thing, an experience thing. But one thing I have found that is almost categorically true. Can something be almost categorically true? You'll spot me this one. It's almost categorically true that if something has been, a piece of writing has been sitting for a long time, or if it has presented a lot of problems, it is almost always true that it's easier to rewrite it than revise it. And this feels counterintuitive because you have all of those words. In my case, I ended up cutting out like 8,000 words. People, my outtake documents for this book is 40,000 words. 40,000 words I have pulled out of my original draft and put into the outtakes file. Now, usually when I revise, I'll pull a chunk into the outtakes file, and then when I put it back into the manuscript, I cut. So the outtakes file will go down. This time, I changed it up, and I'm not sure I could tell you exactly why, except that I copied. And it was partly because I wanted to keep track of exactly how things had been in the original. Now, I still have my first draft, so I could have found that pretty easily, But for some reason, my instinct this time was to copy. So a whole lot of those words went back into the manuscript. But that's how many I pulled out of place because I changed the sequence of things. And so that messed things up. But 8,000 words of those final four chapters um, went into the outtakes document and are probably pretty much going to stay there. And why? Um, because the ending, I want to say this very profoundly because, mark this down, my children, the ending has changed. Dun dun! No, I mean, of course, the ending has changed slightly, but kind of the emotional arcs of where everybody is at has changed profoundly. And it's one of those things that, and I think there's also a word for this that I'm just not going to be able to think of, but it's one of those deals where, like you have a slight change at the beginning, which sort of moves your points apart just a small amount. But then as the trajectory goes on, they diverge more and more. And by the time you get to the end, they are a far distance apart. Uh, so so yeah, the motivations are all different. There may be a lot of the same events, maybe not, maybe not. Anyway, the upshot is I do have to pretty much write the ending again. So it's going to be 8 to 10,000 words. Is that what I figured? Um, Actually, it may only be like 6,500 words. We'll see. But so I had a conversation Tuesday morning with editor Allie, and I wanted to ask her about one thing where I had been considering pulling something out, cutting something entirely. And I wanted to know her thoughts on that. And we ended up keeping it. She said she understood my impulse, why I felt like that might be the thing to do. But then she also agreed that, yeah, that there's cool stuff in there. There's reasons to cut it, there's reasons to keep it. And so I was interested that she didn't have a stronger opinion than I did on it. It was like, well, it could go either way. Did you hear the kitty cry? Hang on. My baby cat was locked out of the room. It was tragic. Almost a disaster, but we've saved him. Um, so the one thing that Allie said, which I thought that you all would find interesting. No pause. Now there's a cat on my desk. No pause. This should be a hashtag for the uh, podcast now too. The no using pause. So, sorry for all of the distraction. I totally blame Killian. No pause. Okay, I've got my head on straight again. Uh, One thing that Allie said was, he said, okay, so this was before I knew that I was cutting the last four chapters. I said, I'm going to have this book done by the end of the week. And we talked originally about that. She was expecting it on the 17th, deadline, April 1st. And I said, well, I can send it to you at the end of this week for the weekend if you're wanting to read over the weekend, or for Monday, the expected date. I said, but I do know it needs one more smoothing pass. And she said, well, that she didn't want to edit something that, or comment on something that I already knew I needed to change, which I thought was interesting because we've talked about that. Which way do you go on that? And so it was great to have her take on that. And then she also said, and this is something that all of you can, I don't learn from, that she was looking, I could tell she was looking at her schedule, and she said, I have several things on my plate right now. And she said, actually, later is better. Beginning of April is better for me to read this. So that worked out great. The other thing that we talked about was and this is again before I knew I was cutting those last 4 chapters, is I said, if I don't cut the section that she and I had talked about section cutting, I said it might make the book longer. And she said, well, that really just isn't the highest priority. And I put that on social media as a data point because I keep hearing from authors that, like, oh, traditional publishers won't publish books longer than XYZ. And I'm sorry to make that sound whiny, but it's one of those things where people are throwing out very confidently this common wisdom of, oh no, your book can't be longer than 85,000 words or they won't publish it. And I'm sorry, it's just BS. It's not true. Witness Allie telling me this, that length is really not the highest priority here. She's basically telling me to go as long as I need to. She said, when I read it, if I see sections that I think need to be cut, we can talk about it then. Now, see, this is the key, people, and I really want you to listen to this. Those of you, especially those of you disagreeing with me on this, because immediately when I put this on social media, I got that guy popping up saying how it was a counterpoint, but that he had just gotten rejected by an agent for having his 2 science fiction books are like 86,000 words each with a cliffhanger in the middle, and that she said the pacing was too slow, and witness that it was too long, right? Well, pacing, length can be an indication of bad pacing, but slow pacing is its own problem, right? And this is especially true of newer authors. It's just like, if you've been listening to everything I've been saying so far about going through this revision process and deciding, do these entire sections need to be cut? Do I need to rewrite the ending? Because if I try to massage what's already there, it feels counterintuitive because I've got those 8,000 words that are already written, but I could spend a lot of time, and believe me, I've been there, massaging those to make that fit. And I can just tell, I can feel it, that it's going to be easier and better to simply write that ending anew. The reason why people are told, and I don't know, I got other people popping up because, like, there's something about when you put out there any kind of publishing advice, these people pop out of the woodwork who simply have to give their 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cents. Because I had someone popping up on Facebook saying, oh, well, here are the word count limits for, like Harlequin or something like that. I really feel like, and I could be wrong, yes, there are certain imprints like Harlequin that don't go past like 60 words. 60 words, yeah, that'd be some good flash. 60,000 words. That is not what I'm talking about. It's obviously not what I'm talking about, which is why it's irritating to have people pop in and say those things. The thing is that a lot of words can be an indication that an author doesn't know what to trim, and it can be an indication of a slow pace. It can be an indication of fat, of stuff that needs to be trimmed out to make it lean and mean and muscular and move along at that pace that you need it to. And not to brag on myself, on your girl here, but my editor is not worried about my pacing. Okay. Actually, I've almost never gotten, some people find my books to have a slower feel to them, which is deliberate, but my pacing is not a problem. And so in fact, I tend to write on the short side. If anything, I add or replace. So Allie knows that by saying length is not the highest priority here. Is she wants me to feel free to write as much as I need to get the story correct. Those of you who, I'm sorry, I know it's frustrating, but especially when you're a newbie author, uh, that's a very, very common problem. It's just because you don't know what doesn't need to be in there yet. And so when you're pitching a book and somebody tells you, well, that sounds like it's too long, let me give you an example. I was offering advice, free advice once, to a friend of a friend, a newbie author in the bar at a conference. And my friend asked me to sit down and listen to their pitch and give them feedback on it. So, I just put this in a professional email yesterday. Hand me a glass of bubbly and I'm your girl. So yeah, I sat there and listened. And one thing is this was like a YA fantasy of some sort, or maybe, yeah. And it was like 245,000 words. And so I've been asked for my advice. You don't always want to hear it, but I said, that sounds very long. And especially for a first book. And she replied, she was working with a writing partner, and she said, yes, we hear that a lot, but we are confident that that length is needed, that everything in there is needed. And it's like, okay, are you though? Is that misplaced confidence? So anyway, I've gone long. And so on Monday, I'll tell you what I've ended up doing. I can't decide. I think I'm going to work a little bit more on A Rose in the Mirror today. I don't know if I'm going to start in on those final chapters. My thought is I want to go back and smooth from the beginning and then write that ending. There are a few things I need to weave in, so I'm thinking maybe I'll do that today. And then on Sunday, I'm going to switch over to Strange Familiar, finish that, get it revised, get it uploaded by the 27th, and then go back to A Rose in the Mirror and get that finished in time to deliver to Allie. It's my master plan. I believe it could work. Wish me luck. Yeah. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you all on Monday. You all take care. Bye-bye.